So here we go again. Another night, another crazy pants off the rail speech by Donald Trump. I mean, this guy is not bright. Let's just throw it out there. He's not bright. He thinks windmills cause cancer. He can barely read his own speeches on the teleprompter. And we've all heard this one. And then he spouts off something weird. The magic numbers that keep rising or just change from speech to speech. But this time he did it in front of Marines who were hand selected to agree with his politics, and that's who was seated behind him. And it's troubling for the entire nation that these guys cheered on this stuff because they should know, as members of the military, their oath, one, and the Constitution, two, and maybe important laws like Passa Comitatus might be important for members of the military to know about. Just throwing it out there. Maybe, perhaps, they should know that legally they're not supposed to be sent into U.S. cities to perform law enforcement actions. Sort of a thing. Yeah, I mean, Trump. Let's just call it what it is. He's weird. Um, there, and that's beyond all the new photo stuff that's coming out about him wearing a Foley catheter, braces because he's got foot drop due to frontotemporal dementia. Nobody can deny this. All right. This, however, is just fact. Watch his face as he smiles or speaks. Watch it. You can see the right side muscle weakness. You can see that the muscles in his face are different. One side, they're not equal. He's got drop on one side. His smile now turns into kind of a grin. And when he's talking, he starts favoring one side because one side is not doing its stuff. It's just not doing its thing. Don't take my word for it. Don't just watch. It's right there. It's easy to see. Him dragging his foot is easy to see. His memory being shot is easy to see. I mean, that was the thing today. Oh yeah, dunking on Gavin Newsom. Oh, look at this. We got the phone call receipts. First of all, anyone who has an iPhone or anything else knows that you could make any contact that you want into that name. So he could have taken his Aquanet supply merchant and plugged in the name as Gavin Newsom and then shown phone calls. Anybody who has a smartphone knows you can do that. But he was talking on the 10th and saying he spoke to Newsom one day ago, which would be the 9th, if we're tracking everything. And yet the receipts that he showed that he spoke with him on the 6th, the 7th, late after midnight of the 6th. So early morning 7th, late evening on the 6th, which is clearly not one day ago, clearly not several days ago. And Gavin Newsom himself even spoke about that phone call. He said, yeah, we didn't even talk about the National Guard. It was something completely unrelated. So the president doesn't even know what day it is. He doesn't even know who he spoke to. He's lying about what was said. And it's not even like difficult lies. These are easily verifiable ones, like something like your, for the parents out there, something like your kindergartner or toddler would say, easily verifiable, easily proven lies. And then he does this today. And I've watched it several times. Here, take a listen.
A few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to...
As an aside, what was with the audio today? Like, this one's very quiet. and Newsom's had to be cleaned up because it was doubled.
Protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not.
That's such a okay. First, that's such a lie. There's video after video showing that these protests in Los Angeles were peaceful until the National Guard, like until law enforcement, or I should say, federal law enforcement, escalated things. There's peaceful people being tear gassed. There's peaceful people being hit with rubber bullets. One lady was trying to get into her apartment, and she got hit point blank by a rubber bullet, had to be treated by a street medic. And she was just trying to get into her apartment. She wasn't even like participating in any of this. Some cars got burned, yes, but there's also video showing that the LAPD was vandalizing their cars themselves when nobody was looking. So, yeah, there's not much evidence on any of this.
Nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not.
Does he mean third world lawlessness, like a dictator having a military parade on his birthday? Or something else? Because I know when I associate like third world megalomaniac dictator, I think, oh, there's for sure going to be goose stepping in a military parade. Just a given.
Let that happen. It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim.
Okay, here, he's actually doing it right now. Take a look at his mouth and how he's speaking. And you can see that the right side of his face is barely moving at all. And somehow I don't think it's Botox.
Aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen. Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people. But
for the record, in his first administration, millions of people came in unchecked. In fact, just to make a point, there is no comprehensive immigration plan. None. Congress has not passed one in decades. I think Reagan was the first one that was able to pass any legislation whatsoever, and it was an amnesty. George W. Bush attempted to fix immigration. Democrats were on board. All it required was for his own party to vote for the bill that he put together, which had they done it, we would not be in this situation here today. It would not have been a political issue. Anybody coming into this country would have been registered. We would know who they were, where they were. They couldn't be exploited by companies, and they couldn't sneak through law enforcement or anything else. Now, bearing the lead a bit, guess who killed that bill? Republicans. Guess who have killed every immigration bill? Republicans. It's almost as if they do not want a solution to the problem. Now, for those fiscal hawks out there, any idea how many people have been detained in Los Angeles? Okay. As of Saturday, Sunday, it was a grand total of about 144. Care to guess how much money we've spent? Anyone? Bueller? Almost 175 million. That's just as of Sunday. That's without the deployment of Marines. So, fiscally responsible, trying to save money, we would have been better off just paying each person detained by ICE $500,000 to just go across the border. They'd pay me $500,000 or $1 million. I'm out, and my family goes back 4 or 5 generations.
Regardless open border policy, the dumbest policy yet. I would say even dumber than men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone.
There's a very easy solution to this one, but it definitely is not for a YouTube video. But there is a easy guideline on this one. And frankly, I could ask the question of any of those guys cheering in the background, and they would instantly shut up and it would suddenly be a non-issue.
Even dumber than that, they're hurling bricks and cinder blocks at law enforcement. Did you see they're breaking up the sidewalks and the curbs, breaking it up with big, strong hammers? These guys are professionals. These are not amateurs. They're breaking it.
Because you really need to be a professional to know hammer breaks cement. You really need to be a professional for that. This guy is dumb as a bag of big, strong hammers. Seriously.
It up because they took the bricks away from them. They came in with bricks, red bricks, that they could throw at our.
Why red bricks? I mean, why not stone-colored bricks? Why not white bricks? Why is it got to be red? Could have been any color. Why are, I mean, what's wrong with white bricks, Donald? Why can't they be white bricks? Why do they have to be red bricks?
Our military and at the police in LA, who are very good, but they weren't aggressive like our soldiers. Our soldiers really were aggressive, but they all worked together. But they came in with bricks, they were taken away, and they had hammers. Oh, wow, how did that happen? And
does anybody else just find that so effeminate? I mean, really? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. How did that happen? Oh, wow. He sounds so stupid. I mean, you just sound like this is your big, strong leader here.
they're pounding the sidewalk. I said, what the hell is he doing? And he's breaking it up and making it into concrete bombs in a way, and they're dropping them on our military. They're throwing
Bombs in a way, but really not. Not in any sort of way. They're not really actually bombs at all.
them at our military. Pretty good arms they had, too. Hits guys right in the face. Big chunk of concrete, worse than a brick. They're taking them up to the bridges and they're dropping them in the cars that are going by. These are animals. But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing.
So there is a law. I mean, there is a law against desecration of the flag. It's kind of gone out of favor. Oddly enough, though, Donald Trump's entire campaign would be in violation of it. You're not allowed to alter the flag. So all those flags he has made in China and then shipped over to sell to whoever, yeah, that's in violation of the law. That's a desecration of the flag.
And we'll see if we can get that done.
Okay, there's enough of that guy. Yeah, he's so weird. I mean, this is not great. I mean, it bodes very bad things for our country because he's basically saying he's going to send troops into any city and there's no protest allowed. First Amendment, gone. And the troops in the background are cheering it on. Oops. Is now a good time to say that I don't recall that there's a statute of limitations on. Yeah, well, just saying. Those guys might want to be careful about what they do in the future. Now, to contrast, Gavin Newsom offered a bit of a rebuttal. It was really today sort of like dueling speeches. You got Emperor Palpatine over here, and for you Star Wars fans, then I don't even know what to say. Gavin Newsom, Bill Pullman and Independence Day speech. I'm not sure. Sounds kind of like it a little bit, but I actually found one that had clean audio. The actual broadcast had like some echo audio on it. I think I found a clean one here.
I want to say a few words about the events of the last few days. This past weekend, federal agents conducted large-scale workplace raids in and around Los Angeles. Those raids continue as I speak. California is no stranger to immigration enforcement, but instead of focusing on undocumented immigrants with serious criminal records and people with final deportation orders, a strategy both parties have long supported, this administration is pushing mass deportations, indiscriminately targeting hardworking immigrant families, regardless of their roots or risk. What's happening right now is very different than anything we've seen before.
And he's absolutely right here. We have not seen really anything like this before. As far as pushing mass deportations, they're failing at that. It's not even that these people are kind of evil and don't believe in the Constitution at all. Like this, nobody in this administration seems to give one rip about the Constitution. They like to talk about it, but I don't think they've ever read it. And they are just so incompetent about it. I think that's maybe the bright spot we have as a country to get through this and weather this storm is that they're not just trying to throw away our long-standing traditions and government. It's that they're also so cringingly incompetent. I'm frankly surprised that Hegseth was able to even mobilize 700 Marines and get them to LA. I mean, I figured he'd accidentally send them to Alaska or something.
On Saturday morning, when federal agents jumped out of an unmarked van near a Home Depot parking lot, they began grabbing people, a deliberate targeting of a heavily Latino suburb. A similar scene played out when a clothing company was raided downtown. In other actions, a U.S. citizen, 9 months pregnant, was arrested. A 4-year-old girl taken. Families separated. Friends quite literally disappearing. In response, everyday Angelenos came out to exercise their...
I do think he kind of missed an opportunity there to make a comment about the first graders that they tried to abduct. And that was an abduction. I mean, they lied about having parental consent, they covered their identities, and they tried to remove the children from school, claiming they had permission from their guardians. Any way you shade it, that's kidnapping. That's an abduction. But so far, so good.
Constitutional right to free speech and assembly, to protest their government's actions. In turn, the state of California and the city and county of Los Angeles sent our police officers to help keep the peace. And with some exceptions, they were successful. Like many states, California is no stranger to this sort of unrest. We manage it regularly and with our own law enforcement. But this, again, was different. What then ensued was the use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets, federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights. Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose. As the news spread throughout LA, anxiety for family and friends ramped up. Protests started again. By night, several dozen lawbreakers became violent and destructive. They vandalized property. They tried to assault police officers. Many of you have seen the video clips of cars burning on cable news. If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested, and we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases, and people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, thanks to our law enforcement officers and the majority of Angelenos who protested peacefully, the situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown. But that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety. He federalized another 2,000 Guard members. He deployed more than 700 active U.S. Marines. These are the men and women trained for foreign combat, not domestic law enforcement. We honor their service. We honor their bravery. But we do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces, not in LA, not in California, not anywhere. We're seeing unmarked cars in school parking lots, kids afraid of attending their own graduation. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength. Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our communities. They're traumatizing our communities. And that seems to be the entire point. California will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting on behalf of our people, all of our people, including in the courts. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military to engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th? I ask everyone, take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing. He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment. And the threat of defunding them, at threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected. And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done in the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. True. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility. The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment. It's time for all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency, and it's certainly not governor. The most important office is office of citizen. At this moment, we all need to stand up and be held to account, a higher level of accountability. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, please, please do it peacefully. I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know that you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety. What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him.
So that was Governor Gavin Newsom. Great speech. And I think he hit the high points. He's not wrong in the slightest. Never thought we'd be here. Growing up, I didn't think we'd ever be in this situation. But here we are. And it's just the most dumb way to lose democracy you could think of. Like, these people are just legit strange. They're strange. I mean, have you seen the before and after pictures of Kristi Noem? My Hegseth and his weird whatever comments, like, I mean, I think that's the problem. If you study any history or anything else, Hegseth is like, we got to depend on the warfighter, the warfighter, the warfighter. Logistics wins wars, dude. You should know that. You're the Secretary of Defense. Logistics wins wars. Shipping, feeding the troops, bullets, that wins wars. Not how far you can run. Certainly you need troops that can do that. But the supply guy is almost more important than one of the guys at the front. Equally important. Napoleon knew an army moves on its stomach. These people are just strange, weird, and most importantly, incompetent. And I think that's the one thing that might save us. They're staggeringly incompetent. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I know this is a hard time. Please hit like and subscribe, and talk to you later, YouTube. Good night.